Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping right in and putting one of the telecom industry's most terrifying and heavily guarded secrets right here on the autopsy table. We're going to decode a hidden telecom vulnerability that sounds like it belongs straight in a dystopian cyberpunk novel, but I can assure you it's a very real, very current threat. Just imagine a threat actor sitting in a basement halfway across the globe. Without sending you a malicious link, without installing a single piece of malware on your smartphone, and using absolutely nothing but your phone number, they can wiretap your calls, intercept your bank's text messages, and track your physical location on a map in real time. We are going to break down exactly how this happens. Okay, let's dive into this. Karsten Knoll over at Security Research Labs hit the nail on the head with this brilliant analogy. He points out that the SS7 network is a walled garden where everyone inside is implicitly trusted. The problem is, the walls have completely crumbled, but the trust remains. You see, that protocol, which routes almost every call and text you make, operates on this incredibly naive assumption that anyone sending a network command is inherently a legitimate operator. And as you'll see, that absolute trust is now being weaponized against us every single day. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the 1975 trust problem. Second, manipulating the matrix. Third, the SMS hijacked. Fourth, silent tracking. And finally, cyber hardening. All right, kicking things off with part one, the 1975 trust problem, a fossilized foundation. To truly grasp your personal vulnerability today, we actually have to travel back in time a bit. Let's trace this terrifying evolution. Back in 1975, Signaling System Node 7, or SS7, was built as this universal language for telecom switches. At the time, telecom networks were this exclusive closed club of massive state-owned monopolies. They didn't need end-to-end encryption for control messages because, well, they implicitly trusted each other. But look at how this fossilized foundation crumbles. By 2008, security researchers are sounding the alarm about location tracking. In 2014, a live interception is demonstrated. By 2017, hackers are literally draining German bank accounts by intercepting SMS texts. And today, in 2026, the walls of that closed club have been completely obliterated. The massive explosion of third-party SMS gateways and virtual networks means that amateur threat actors can go on the dark web and just buy SS7 as a service. It's wild. The keys to the global telecom grid are readily available for a low monthly fee. Moving right along to part two, manipulating the matrix, the autopsy of an exploit. Let's head over to the debugging workbench. Now, what's really interesting here is that this isn't black magic. Hackers are quite literally just manipulating the network's own standardized commands. It's a devastating one-two punch using what's called the Mobile Application Part, or MAP protocols. Step one is target discovery. The hacker sends this ostensibly harmless query to your home network, just asking for routing info. Your network blindly obliges and hands over your SIM card's unique hardware identifier, your IMSI, along with your current switch address. Then comes step two, injecting the lie. Armed with your golden hardware ID, the hacker sends an update location message to your home network. They falsely declare, hey, this subscriber is now roaming on my network abroad. Please forward all their incoming calls and texts to me. And because there's absolutely zero cryptographic validation, your home network simply accepts the lie. Which brings us to part three, the SMS hijack, when your airwaves are stolen. This is where the silent theft of your digital identity happens. Think about it. How many of your banks, crypto exchanges, and secure accounts rely on legacy SMS for two-factor authentication? The harsh reality is that SMS is absolutely vulnerable to these routing exploits. Because the hacker has already convinced your network that you're roaming on their rogue switch, when your bank sends you that one-time password text, it never even lights up your smartphone screen. The telecom switch routes it directly into the hacker's dark web dashboard. They log in, and your assets are gone. Contrast this with authenticator apps. These operate completely offline, they generate time-based codes locally, and most importantly, they are functionally isolated from the SS7 network. They process entirely on your device, safely behind your biometrics. An SS7 routing hack just cannot touch an offline authenticator app. Okay, part four, silent tracking, the shadow that follows you. So our communications are exposed, but it gets way more personal. You know, I always assumed that just turning off my smartphone's GPS made me invisible. But in the realm of SS7, that toggle is completely irrelevant. Hackers can easily extract what's called your cell global identity, or CGI. This is the precise, unique code of the cellular tower your phone is pinging right at this exact moment. They just send a query asking your home network, where's this subscriber right now? And the network happily hands over the tower code. The hacker cross-references that code with open source maps, and boom, they have your exact longitude and latitude.
We're talking about Layer 3 infrastructure natively offering real-time tracking capabilities that rival multi-million-dollar spyware, and it all happens entirely in silence. No warning icons will ever appear on your screen.
And this brilliantly illustrates the most terrifying part of this tracking method, how the accuracy scales. You might assume that being out in a big urban crowd makes you harder to find, right? Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. Because major urban centers have incredibly dense cell tower infrastructure, a hacker pulling your cell ID in a city can pinpoint you to under 50 to 200 meters. In the suburbs, it widens out a bit, maybe pinpointing your general neighborhood. It's really only in rural areas, with massive distances between those macro cells, that the accuracy drops. So, counterintuitively, living in a densely populated area actually makes you far more precisely trackable on a map.
Time for some solutions with Part 5, Cyber Hardening, the Tekin Garage Defensive Protocol.
We've exposed all the invisible threats. Now we absolutely need to pivot to the solution. Because you and I have zero administrative control over those core telecom servers, we have to forcefully migrate our security up to the application layer. Here's your strict checklist. First, eradicate SMS two-factor authentication completely. Go into your bank, email, and social settings today and switch to authenticator apps or hardware keys. Second, migrate away from standard cellular calls for any sensitive conversations. Use VoIP messengers like Signal or WhatsApp that enforce strict end-to-end encryption. Even if a hacker intercepts that routing path, all they're going to get is unreadable cryptographic noise. Third, audit your call forwarding. Dial *#21# to see if calls are being stealthily diverted, and use #002# to erase active diversions. Finally, if you have a legacy bank that stubbornly forces you to use SMS, you need to compartmentalize. Get a burner SIM card, keep that number strictly secret, and never, ever link it to your public identity.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to directly address a very common misconception about personal privacy tools. People ask all the time, will using a VPN prevent me from being tracked via SS7? The answer is a hard no. Here is the reality check. A VPN only encrypts your internet traffic. That's the data layer. SS7 exploits occur entirely at the signaling layer, way down between the cell towers and the telecom switches. A VPN provides literally zero protection against this infrastructure-level tracking or text message interception. Which naturally leads us to the next logical question. Can the telecom giants just fix this fossilized foundation themselves and completely block these attacks? Unfortunately, 100% network layer security is practically impossible. While operators absolutely can and do use advanced firewalls to filter out suspicious control messages, the globally open and interconnected nature of legacy 2G and 3D networks means this ominous shadow is going to persist. As long as telecom operators rely on these interconnected bridges for global roaming, securing the network layer entirely just isn't going to happen. The SS7 protocol is a remnant from a golden age of trust, but it's mutated into the world's most dangerous backdoor. We've mapped out exactly how easily this implicit trust can be exploited to bypass authentications, listen in on calls, and track our exact coordinates. You must migrate your trust away from crumbling telecom networks and towards encrypted applications. Because really, in the chaotic landscape of modern cyber warfare, why are we still trusting infrastructure layer security with our critical data?